Hello folks, Sam Owens here, getting ready to install a product that I think is going to be something a lot of homeowners will want, especially in that garage area. Or if you're a business, these 5-tier steel storage shelves could be a real space saver for you to store items. There's 5 shelves and a lot of information about the dimensions and specs on the shelving system is up in the right hand side, so you could stop and pause and review some of the material. I'm going to concentrate on showing you how easy it is to assemble this, but I want to put a word of caution at this point. This system is 2 sections. It can be made into 2 sections or one single section. The fact that you don't have a continuous vertical rails, these are 2 halves that go together. The center shelf must be installed at the connection point of the 2 down vertical bars. I will give more detail about that, but I want you to watch the whole video. It's very, very important that this shelf is installed at the center point. So let's get started with what you get. First, they're showing you the parts list, and get familiar with the part numbers and the picture and then the description of it. And also there's how many pieces are in there so that you are sure you've got everything. Now this can be installed with casters, or it can be just mounted flat on the floor with these little pads, foot pads. So I'm going to show the option for casters, and we'll go from there. And I'll explain about the pads and the spacing of that first shelf on the bottom. They show here the full assembly of all 5 shelvings together, the 2 sections. This shows the 2 sections after they're completed. If you're going to make 2 sections, my recommendation is to build it as one and then go through and separate that center shelf like this. I will get to that point when I get into the assembly. I'm saying this because I know there's a lot of people that don't read instructions and just go right into putting it together. There are some things that you are going to want to watch in this to get it correct. Okay, now on the back side, there's actually 9 steps that they show to assemble that. There's a few errors in my opinion, in the instructions, and I'm going to point them out. One is there's no installation procedure for the casters, or wheels they call them, only the pads. I'm going to show for the wheels, and also the first step or second step, this is where this would not be correct if you're installing wheels. So we'll show that, and a couple of other points as we go along in the steps. But let's get started with the assembly. All right, here's the 5 shelving, and it's a very good system, and I think you're going to like it once you get it installed correctly, as I'm going to show. You want to assemble the parts that you're going to need to install the lower portion of the shelving system, the storage shelves. And we've got 4 of the short rails, cross rail, and 4 of the long cross rails and 4 of the vertical rails. Here they are. The vertical rails, 4 of those it takes, and the short cross bars and the long cross bars. We need 4 of each to do that lower shelf. It's going to be to your advantage to have the parts next to you when you're assembling that first section. Then once you get it and the second shelf in, it goes easier. The first step, they're showing installing these little foot pads onto the vertical bars. Here we're going to get 1 of the vertical bars, and we're not going to put those in. We're going to put these caster blocks in for the casters. First thing you need to do is orientate these vertical bars with the shorter, narrower side down. These, just like that. All vertical bars are going to be assembled with it in that position, not like that. All right, now, like I say, we're going to use the caster bars and our blocks, and they give you a hammer, and that's to drive them in. This is the first step, to run through and do this, making sure that everything is positioned correctly. And this is for casters. They call them wheels. These instead would just go in there like that. They're just foot pads. The second step is showing to take a short crossbar and a long crossbar and assemble into one vertical bar. You want to orientate correctly. This part is going to be up because the shelf is going to sit there, and these are the 2 connecting points. They're going to go into these holes. So in this position, now you will go up to these holes up here. Even if you don't have this, so that you can change it later, do not put them in that bottom position. Now you take the hammer and push it all the way down, and you don't want any of this vertical connector showing. It should all be hidden. That means it's all the way down. Now you take a long one, and again you orientate it with the shelf ledge up, and you go into the same areas right there, and then you hold this down, and they should be level and all the way down. Now, I'm not going to show that anymore. I think you've got the idea. Now, what you do is put this over here, and now you're going to add step 3, which is another vertical bar, and then you're going to complete in 4, you're going to complete all of them together. So let's just show that. We're going to put this, and again, you want this foot down, put it in here like this, go up to the same hole position as you did in the other, making sure that they're all the way in, both tabs, and you can rock it back and forth and see if they are. Okay, now, this is why you need, see, this wants to fall, so you have to be ready to hold this and take a long one, and again, orientate this so that this ledge is up and the tabs are going to go into the associated hole. And now you can just kind of set this end down and hammer her down, make sure it's in. There we go. Now, whoop, making sure everything is, until you get it assembled, it's going to want to move on you a little bit. Now you can put the step number 4 together, and you're going to add another crossbar, a vertical bar right here. And what you do is put it right here, and you go to the same position on this vertical bar as you did on that one, so that this is level. And always check down there and make sure everything is good and that they're in. Okay, and now I will take this one, orientate, and put it in the appropriate hole. Okay. Now, take this, put the block down, and you're going to connect these up and the appropriate hole in this position. I assembled this one time before to get familiar with it, and so mine do go in easier. The first time you do it, they go in very tight, and you really need to handle it. But mine is good. Once it's assembled and you get the shelving in there, then it does not do that. Okay? So you got to get some shelves in, or these crossbars. This is where you'll decide the products that you're going to put on there. How high do you want the shelves? Do you want a low shelf or a high shelf? I'm going to mount mine in the center. You can always change these, adjust these shelves later if you want, just by knocking them up and out and moving them. So it's not critical at this point. So I suggest putting them in the center and then adjust as you need it. Since we're right here, I'm just going to put this one in and just estimate. I'm not actually going to count the holes. I'm going to probably go right about there. And then you find the associated holes over here, and you can pretty well look at it and tell when it's correct. And then when both sides are in, knock them down. Okay, that's first shelf, second shelf, and that is starting to get stable now. So we go to this step. Number 6 is going to be the pins. They're called connectors. You just put it in here into the corner, and that went right in. Like I say, I've assembled this one time and it does go. But first time you're probably going to need to tap it. Go all the way around all 4 of these. So we want to go to step number 6, which are actually 7. This was 6. 7 is going to add 4 more vertical bars. It's critical that you get these in the proper position, the small slot down, and there's nothing in either end, so it's going to go right in here like this. Okay, and they'll go down firmly and they will hold, they won't fall off. Right here, all 4 of these, this short crossbar has to mount across here, and the long crossbar has to mount across there. You cannot mount it here or up here or anywhere else. It has to. Very critical for this to stay together. That's what connects this. That's why I'm making a point that you cannot change this at any time unless you're going to make 2 separate shelf systems out of it. And then you can take it apart, and then you can put that top shelf on this section down here, and you'll only have 2 shelves up here. It'll become evident when I'm finished. I'll explain that again. Okay? I'm going to go right here, and again, there's my splice point, and I'm going here and there, making sure I get them in the slots. Okay, and then this, and making sure that it's top and bottom. Okay, this one's kind of wanting to teeter, so I'm going to do it next. And again, it goes at this position. Again, I make sure that I get across this. And over here, I cross the other connector. Okay. There. There. They're both in the center. So when you see this, it should always, this seam should be in the center of that. That's the strength that ties these two together. Now, make sure that all of the pins are connected in and that it's on all 4 of the connector points and you are solid. This cannot ever move in this assembly. If you want to move the shelves, you can move all of the other shelves except this shelf. Now, let's go up, and now the next step in the assembly. In 8, they're showing that you're going to assemble the rest of the shelves up. The fencing, they show that you can put a fence on the top edge here, which is right here. You just decide if you want a fence. You don't absolutely have to have a fence. That would be the topmost fence, and then you'd put the next shelf down. I don't want a fence because I want the top shelf all the way up so I can just put things that are oversized on the top if I want, that are flat, that I have. So I'm going to mount my shelf straight on the top. But if you're going to do the fences, and you can put the fence at the height that you want. This is something you can do. They suggest in the pictures a certain spacing. Okay, now I'm going to put this in here, and my top shelf is going to be all the way up. And that's the way I want it. You can do it that way too. See, there's no chance of putting a fence up there, but I don't want a fence because I might get oversized stuff up there. These shelves can be moved later. A lot of times different boxes you get might be different sizes, so you say, hey, I'd be better if I had that lower, and you can do it. Just remember, this cannot be moved. This is the middle shelf. Okay, now we have it. All shelves are assembled from the bottom all the way to the top. All the cross rails are on. Now we're going to put the long and short fences on. Now, I want my fence just a notch above. I skip a hole, and I'm going to show you where I want my fence. I just want to keep it from, when I push something in, keeping it from going out. They would show it something like that. I might have a small box and it's going to miss it, so I want mine just skip one hole is the way I'm going to do it. And right there, this is a long fence. You can have your fence at different levels if you have certain boxes, sizes are going to be on different shelves. But this will keep anything that I shove in there from going out the back. I don't need it because I'm going to have a wall. That's where mine's going to mount. Okay, and you just continue along. Nothing says that it has to be right across from it. You can adjust. This is your shelf. Okay, now I'm going to get another short one and put over here. And there's something special I got to tell you about this fencing. And that is, you don't want to close it in because then you can't get anything in. So you want to decide which way is front, and this is going to be the front of my shelf. this will be the back. Then I want to do the same all the way down and only put 3 fence rails so that when I have my shelves in, I can slide the boxes in. It makes sense. Okay, so now I am going to do the same thing on the rest. Take a look at yours. It should be like this. On the bottom we have the caster pad, but we don't have the casters in. That's the next step I'm going to put. And we've got our fence rails in, or sprint fencing bars, short, everything is in. We need to put the shelves in, but we're not going to put the shelves in because we need to turn this over, and it's very light right now. So just rock this over and watch out now. If you're in a room, you got to watch the ceiling, and then you could put this over and it'd be easier to put the casters in now. I want my locking wheels here because it's going to go against the wall. So I'm going to put the locking wheels, both of them on this side so that I can lock and unlock. They will go in by hand just by spinning this little collar. And same way here, and I spin it. With my finger, just spinning that. Goes in real easy. And remember the ceiling, and just grab her like this, and then pull it up and set it down. I'm going to start with the top one here. This is where the strength is in these panels and strengthening panels on the bottom. It's a very nice system. This goes right up here on the top easily and just falls in. We'll do this one. And you just tilt it through like this. There we go. Just fits right in. And then goes right in its little designated channel. And if you'll notice, it's a nice smooth transition right there. I like that. Then the old bottom one. And he goes right down here. There we go. Does that look good or what? All over, back, forward, and look there how nice that is that you can move things. And there's a reason why I really want these casters is I have a supply place back there that I will have to move this occasionally to get to that storage area. These 4 little finishing feet, we want to put these on the top right here because nothing's going to go into these separate shelf sections. Now, that's one of the things I want to tell you right now. If you want to make 2 shelf sections, now would be the time that you can do it. What you would do is take the shelf out, this middle shelf that's between these 2, knock all of your crossbars off, short and long, and leave the fence on because the fence is going to stay on, and later you're going to put another one on here. But this would be the top portion, this would be the bottom portion. When you knock all of this out, then you're going to move these crossbars down to the top of this, and then this shelf will become the top shelf, making 3 shelves on this one, 2 shelves on that. So that's when you would move this, is to make 2 separate shelves. So and somebody may want that. So I would advise you just go ahead and build the whole thing together. It's much easier to take this shelf out and knock it loose than to try to build this separately because you don't have a bottom section to hold on to. Okay, now, let me say one other thing. Remember, I didn't use the fencing bars, short and long, so I've got enough left over. If I ever want to move this, I can, and it can be done. She is ready to receive packages. All right, let's see look how easy that moves. Okay, and then I just slide them in there. Now, okay, this is what I've got that these are products that I have to review, and I've got a place to pull them out and bring them over to the workbench and evaluate them. And I think it looks good and very easy to work with. You're going to make sure you get this middle shelf across that connection point, which gives the strength for these two to stay together. Okay, folks, I hope this has helped you. I want to thank you very much for watching my video.